Hello everyone. Welcome to Business School 101. An expatriate is a migrant worker who is a professional or skilled worker in their profession. The expatriate worker takes a position outside of their home country, either independently or as a work assignment scheduled by the employer. This assignment can come from a company, university, government, or non-governmental organization. For example, if your employer sends you from your job in its Silicon Valley headquarters to work for an extended period in its Tokyo office, you would be considered an expatriate after you arrive in Japan. Finding a qualified candidate to serve as expatriate is one of the toughest tasks for many managers of multinational companies. In this video, we will discuss the core characteristics of a capable expatriate. In addition, we will also introduce guidelines of the training, performance appraisal, and compensation for expatriates. Section 1. Core Characteristics. In order to be a capable expatriate, there are 4 core characteristics an individual must possess. 1. Self-orientation. The attributes of this dimension strengthen the expatriate's self-esteem, self-confidence, and mental well-being. Expatriates with high self-esteem, self-confidence, and mental well-being are more likely to succeed in foreign postings. 2. Others orientation. The more effectively the expatriate interacts with host country nationals, the more likely they are to succeed. 2 factors seem to be particularly important here: relationship development and willingness to communicate. Relationship development refers to the ability to develop long-lasting friendships with host country nationals. Willingness to communicate refers to the expatriate's willingness to use the host country language. Research has shown that making the effort to use the language tends to be rewarded with greater cooperation by host country nationals. 3. Perceptual ability. This is the ability to understand why people of other countries behave the way they do. That is, the ability to empathize. This dimension seems critical for managing host country nationals. Expatriate managers who lack this ability tend to treat foreign nationals as if they were home country nationals. As a result, they may experience significant management problems and considerable frustration. As one expatriate executive from Hewlett-Packard observed, "It took me 6 months to accept the fact that my staff meetings would start 30 minutes late, and that it would bother no one but me." 4. Cultural toughness. This dimension refers to the relationship between the country of assignment and how well an expatriate adjusts to a particular posting. Some countries are much tougher postings than others because their cultures are more unfamiliar and uncomfortable. For example, many Americans regard Great Britain as a relatively easy foreign posting, and for good reason. But many Americans find postings in non-Western cultures such as India, Southeast Asia, and the Middle East to be much tougher. The reasons are many, including poor healthcare and housing standards, inhospitable climate, lack of Western entertainment, and language difficulties. Also, many cultures are extremely male-dominated and may be particularly difficult postings for female Western expatriates. Section 2. Training. According to many business studies, 2 of the most common reasons for expatriate failure were the inability of a manager's spouse to adjust to a foreign environment and the manager's own inability to adjust to a foreign environment. Training can help the manager and spouse cope with both of these problems. In general, there are 3 major types of training for expatriates: cultural training, language training, and practical training. Let's discuss each of these kinds of training individually. First, cultural training. Cultural training seeks to foster an appreciation for the host country's culture. The belief is that understanding a host country's culture will help the manager empathize with the culture, which will enhance their effectiveness in dealing with host country nationals. Expatriates should receive training in the host country's culture, history, politics, economy, religion, and social and business practices. If possible, it is also advisable to arrange for a familiarization trip to the host country before the formal transfer, as this seems to ease culture shock. Given the problems related to spousal adaptation, it is important that the spouse and perhaps the whole family be included in cultural training programs. Second, language training. English is the language of world business. It is quite possible to conduct business all over the world using only English. However, notwithstanding the prevalence of English, an exclusive reliance on English diminishes an expatriate's manager's ability to interact with host country nationals. As noted earlier, a willingness to communicate in the language of the host country, even if the expatriate is far from fluent, can help build rapport with local employees and improve the manager's effectiveness. Third, practical training. Practical training is aimed at helping the expatriate manager and family ease themselves into day-to-day life in the host country. The sooner a routine is established, the better the prospects that the expatriate and their family will adapt successfully. One critical need is for a support network of friends for the expatriate. When an expatriate community exists, firms often devote considerable effort to ensuring the new expatriate family is quickly integrated into that group. The expatriate community can be a useful source of support and information and can be invaluable in helping the family adapt to a foreign culture. Section 3. Performance Appraisal. A particularly thorny issue in many international businesses is how best to evaluate the performance of expatriate managers. Unintentional bias makes it difficult to evaluate the performance of expatriate managers objectively. In many cases, two groups evaluate the performance of expatriate managers: host nation managers and home office managers, and both are subject to bias. The host nation managers may be biased by their own cultural frame of reference and expectations. For instance, a U.S. manager who introduced participative decision-making while working in an Indian subsidiary. The manager subsequently received a negative evaluation from host country managers because in India, the strong social stratification means managers are seen as experts who should not have to ask subordinates for help. The local employees apparently viewed the U.S. manager's attempt at participatory management as an indication that he was incompetent and did not know his job. Home country managers' appraisals may be biased by distance and by their own lack of experience working abroad. Home office managers are often not aware of what is going on in a foreign operation. Accordingly, they tend to rely on hard data in evaluating an expatriate's performance, such as the subunit's productivity, profitability, or market share. Such criteria may reflect factors such as adverse changes in exchange rates, economic downturns in the foreign country, outside the expatriate manager's control. In addition, hard data does not take into account many less visible soft variables that are also important, such as an expatriate's ability to develop cross-cultural awareness and to work productively with local managers. Although it is difficult, several guidelines can reduce bias in the performance appraisal process. First, most expatriates appear to believe more weight should be given to an on-site manager's appraisal than an off-site manager's appraisal. Due to proximity, an on-site manager is more likely to evaluate the soft variables that are important aspects of an expatriate's performance. Second, the evaluation may be especially valid when the on-site manager is of the same nationality as the expatriate, since cultural bias should be alleviated. In practice, home office managers often write performance evaluations after receiving input from on-site managers. When this is the case, most experts recommend that a former expatriate who served in the same location should be involved in the appraisal to help reduce bias. Third, when the policy is for foreign on-site managers to write performance evaluations, home office managers should be consulted before an on-site manager who completes a formal termination evaluation. This gives the home office manager the opportunity to balance what could be a very hostile evaluation based on a cultural misunderstanding. Section 4. Compensation. The last question regarding managing expatriates is how expatriate managers should be paid. The typical expatriate compensation package includes the following 5 components: a base salary, a foreign service premium, allowances of various types, tax differentials, and benefits. First, base salary. An expatriate's base salary is normally in the same range as the base salary for a similar position in the home country. The base salary is normally paid in either the home country currency or in the local currency. Second, foreign service premium. A foreign service premium is extra pay the expatriate receives for working outside of their country of origin. It is offered as an inducement to accept foreign postings. It compensates the expatriate for having to live in an unfamiliar country, isolated from family and friends, having to deal with new culture and language, and having to adapt to new work habits and practices. Many firms pay foreign service premiums as a percentage of base salary, ranging from 10 to 30% after tax. Third, Allowances. 4 types of allowances are often included in an expatriate's compensation package: hardship allowances, housing allowances, cost of living allowances, and education allowances. A hardship allowance is paid when the expatriate is being sent to a difficult location, usually defined as one where such basic amenities as healthcare, schools, and retail stores are grossly deficient by the standards of the expatriate's home country. A housing allowance is normally given to ensure that the expatriate can afford the same quality of housing in the foreign country as at home. In locations where housing is expensive, like London or Tokyo, this allowance can be substantial, as much as 10 to 30% of the expatriate's total compensation package. A cost of living allowance ensures that the expatriate will enjoy the same standard of living in the foreign posting as at home. An education allowance ensures that the expatriate's child receives adequate schooling by home country standards. Host country public schools are sometimes not suitable for an expatriate's child, in which case they must attend a private school. Fourth, taxation. Unless a host country has a reciprocal tax treaty with the expatriate's home country, the expatriate may have to pay income tax to both the home and host country governments. When a reciprocal tax treaty is not in force, the firm typically pays the expatriate's income tax in the host country. In addition, firms normally make up the difference when a higher income tax rate in a host country reduces an expatriate's take-home pay. Fifth, benefits. Many firms also ensure that their expatriates receive the same level of medical and pension benefits abroad that they received at home. This can be quite costly for the firm, since many benefits, such as medical and pension benefits that are tax deductible for the firm in the home country, may not be deductible out of the country. Alright, let's do a quick review. Identifying qualified expatriates and managing them effectively are one of the most critical tasks for managers of multinational companies. In this video, we covered 4 major topics about expatriate management. First, we discussed as a capable expatriate, they should have 4 core characteristics: self-orientation, others-orientation, perceptual ability, and cultural toughness. Second, we explained that a well-designed training system is crucial to expatriate managers. In general, there are 3 major types of training for expatriates: cultural training, language training, and practical training. Third, we provided several guidelines about the performance appraisal for expatriate managers. And lastly, we discussed a typical compensation package for expatriates, and that should include 5 components: a base salary, a foreign service premium, allowances, tax differentials, and benefits. So, that's it for today's video. If you liked this video and want to learn more applicable business knowledge, then please give this a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.